The ocean is usually a source of immense beauty and abundant life, but sometimes it transforms into an unstoppable, terrifying force of absolute destruction. In December of 2004, a massive, deadly tsunami struck the eastern coast of Africa. The towering wall of water violently slammed into the peaceful coastal ecosystems of Kenya. A pod of wild hippopotamuses was caught completely off guard by the roaring surge. The powerful waves crashed over them, scattering the massive animals into the churning, muddy waters. Among the chaos was a tiny, terrified baby hippopotamus, weighing barely 600 pounds. He was violently ripped away from his mother's protective side by the crushing currents. The terrified infant tumbled uncontrollably through the debris-filled water, fighting desperately to survive. When the angry ocean finally receded, it left behind a completely shattered landscape. The baby hippo found himself stranded alone on a dangerous, unfamiliar coral reef. He was entirely separated from his family, exhausted and incredibly frightened. The harsh, hot African sun beat down mercilessly on his sensitive, thick skin. He cried out for his mother, but only the sound of the crashing waves answered him. Without the protection of his pod, a baby hippo is incredibly vulnerable to predators. He was facing certain death on that sharp, unforgiving coastal reef. Fortunately, local Kenyan villagers spotted the stranded animal struggling in the shallow water.
Look over there!
They immediately recognized that the baby was in extreme, life-threatening distress. The compassionate villagers launched a massive, difficult rescue operation to save the heavy infant. They bravely waded into the treacherous water, armed with nothing but fishing nets and ropes. It was an incredibly dangerous task, as even a baby hippo is incredibly strong. But their determination to save this innocent life was far stronger than their fear. They named the rescued orphan Owen, after one of the brave volunteers who helped catch him. Owen was finally safe from the ocean, but his heart was completely broken. He had survived the tsunami, but he had lost his entire world. The villagers carefully loaded the exhausted, traumatized baby hippo into the back of a truck. They drove him to Hala Park, a beautiful, lush wildlife sanctuary located in Mombasa. The sanctuary workers were perfectly equipped to handle orphaned and injured wild animals. They prepared a large, secure enclosure filled with soft sand, tall grass, and a cooling mud pond. When the heavy wooden doors of the transport truck opened, Owen hesitated in terror. He was completely overwhelmed by the strange smells, unfamiliar sounds, and strange human faces. He desperately wanted to hide from a world that had suddenly become so cruel. The sanctuary staff gently coaxed him out, hoping to calm his severely shattered nerves. But the tiny hippo was entirely consumed by profound, agonizing grief and intense fear. He needed the massive, comforting, solid presence of a mother figure to feel safe. He desperately scanned the lush, green enclosure, searching for any sign of his lost family. Suddenly, his small, frightened eyes locked onto a massive, dark shape resting in the corner.
Daddy.
It was incredibly large, round, and possessed a dark, heavily textured grey surface. To a terrified, confused baby hippo, this shape looked exactly like an adult hippopotamus resting. Owen did not hesitate for a single second. He immediately bolted across the sandy enclosure. He ran as fast as his short, chubby legs could possibly carry him. He threw his heavy body directly behind the massive, dark shape, seeking instant protection. He cowered behind the creature, shivering uncontrollably, hoping to hide from the terrifying world. But the massive shape he was hiding behind was not a hippopotamus at all. It was an incredibly ancient, grumpy, 130-year-old Aldabra giant tortoise named Mzee. Mzee had lived a very long, quiet, and completely solitary life in the sanctuary. He was entirely unaccustomed to having rowdy, energetic young animals invade his personal space. The ancient tortoise slowly turned his wrinkled head to look at the trembling intruder. He was completely bewildered by the strange, crying grey creature hiding behind his heavy shell. The most unusual, deeply heartwarming friendship in the animal kingdom was about to begin. At first, the massive, ancient tortoise was absolutely not pleased with his new roommate. Mzee hissed loudly, expressing his deep annoyance at the energetic, crying baby hippo. He slowly lumbered away, trying to escape the desperate, needy infant clinging to him. But the terrified little Owen was absolutely relentless in his pursuit of comfort. Wherever the giant tortoise slowly walked, the baby hippo faithfully followed right behind. When Mzee stopped to eat some grass, Owen stood directly beside him, watching closely. When the old tortoise decided to rest, the baby hippo immediately snuggled tightly against his hard shell. Owen completely ignored the fact that Mzee looked nothing like a real hippopotamus. To the traumatized orphan, the tortoise's massive, solid presence provided the exact security he desperately craved. The sanctuary workers watched this strange, persistent behavior in absolute, utter amazement. They expected the grumpy tortoise to eventually snap at the annoying baby hippo. But as the days passed, something incredibly beautiful and deeply miraculous began to unfold. Mzee's hard, crusty exterior slowly began to soften toward the persistent little orphan. The ancient reptile realized that the trembling baby was completely harmless and deeply terrified. Instead of hissing and walking away, Mzee simply allowed Owen to sleep next to him. The old tortoise accepted his strange new role as a surrogate mother to a mammal. He provided the solid, grounding anchor that stopped Owen from completely falling apart. Soon, the two completely different species became absolutely, entirely inseparable. They spent their sunny afternoons peacefully resting together in the cool, soothing mud pond. They would take long, slow walks across the lush green grass of their sanctuary home. The 130-year-old tortoise and the baby hippo became a single, perfectly unified family unit. Owen found the immense comfort he had violently lost to the raging ocean waves. Mzee found a completely unexpected, vibrant new companion in his long, quiet twilight years. The deep, agonizing trauma of the tsunami was slowly being healed by a giant shell. It was a stunning visual paradox of nature that completely captivated the entire world. The daily routine of this bizarre, wonderful family was a continuous source of absolute joy. Every single morning, Owen and Mzee would wake up perfectly side by side in the warm sand. The baby hippo would playfully nudge the giant tortoise's shell to wake him up. They would slowly make their way to the feeding area to share a massive breakfast. Hippos and tortoises are both herbivores, which perfectly aligned their daily dining schedules. They would peacefully munch on massive piles of fresh, green leaves and sweet carrots together. It was an incredibly comical sight to see the chubby hippo chewing alongside the slow reptile. Owen was highly protective of his new, ancient best friend. If anyone approached their enclosure too quickly, Owen would position himself in front of Mzee. He would open his small mouth wide, trying to look intimidating to protect his surrogate parent. The sanctuary workers were deeply moved by this incredible display of cross-species loyalty. But the most fascinating aspect of their friendship was how they learned to communicate. They did not speak the same biological language, so they invented an entirely new one. They developed a unique, complex
Owen.
system of gentle nudges, soft vocalizations, and subtle body language. Owen would softly nip at Mzee's back legs when he wanted the tortoise to walk. Mzee would stretch his long, wrinkled neck out to gently touch the hippo's nose. They understood each other's needs with absolute, perfect clarity without ever speaking a word. When Owen was feeling playful, he would gently toss leaves onto Mzee's broad, hard
Mzee.
back.
I
When Mzee was
understand.
tired, he would emit a low rumble, and Owen would immediately calm down. Their enclosure became a massive, peaceful bubble of pure, unadulterated healing and love. The profound grief that had completely consumed Owen after the tsunami had completely vanished. He was a happy, healthy, and incredibly playful young hippo once again. The ancient, grumpy tortoise had miraculously saved the broken spirit of a grieving orphan. Their bond proved that the need for connection completely transcends all biological boundaries. It was a perfect, peaceful life built on a foundation of absolute trust. The beautiful story of Owen and Mzee quickly spread far beyond the borders of Kenya. Pictures of the baby hippo snuggling against the giant tortoise were published globally. They became massive international celebrities, inspiring countless children's books and emotional documentaries. The world was completely enchanted by the pure, undeniable innocence of their unusual friendship. People from every single corner of the globe traveled to Hala Park just to see them. Visitors would stand by the enclosure, weeping joyful tears at the beautiful, peaceful sight. In a world often deeply divided by differences, this odd couple offered a profound lesson. They showed humanity that true love and deep connection do not require identical backgrounds. A mammal and a reptile, separated by millions of years of evolution, chose to become family. They did not care about the massive differences in their skin, their speed, or their species. They only cared about the warmth, comfort, and safety they provided for one another. Their story became a massive, shining beacon of hope following the devastating, tragic tsunami. It reminded the world that even after immense destruction, the sanctuary workers continued to monitor their health and happiness with extreme, loving care. As Owen grew larger, he eventually became much heavier than his ancient tortoise friend. But he never, ever lost his profound gentleness or his deep respect for Mzee. Even when he was a massive, powerful juvenile hippo, he still slept gently beside the shell. He knew exactly how much space to take up without crushing his beloved companion. Their friendship lasted for several beautiful, happy years in the safety of the sanctuary. Eventually, as Owen reached maturity, he was successfully introduced to other rescued hippos. He finally rejoined his own kind, starting a brand new, wonderful chapter of his life. But he never forgot the incredible, ancient giant who saved his life in his darkest hour. The memory of the hard shell that offered a soft heart will echo forever. He carried the gentle lessons of the tortoise into his adult life. True friendship leaves a permanent, beautiful mark that time can never erase. The incredible saga of the baby hippo and the ancient tortoise holds a massive, timeless truth. It is a deeply beautiful reminder that family is not strictly defined by blood or biology. Family is defined by the individuals who choose to stand by us when our world collapses. When the terrifying waves of life wash everything away, hope can appear in the strangest forms. Sometimes, the exact comfort we desperately need looks completely different than what we expected. Owen looked for a warm, soft hippo mother but found a cold, hard tortoise shell instead. He chose to accept the love that was offered, rather than mourning what was forever lost. This profound, emotional resilience is a lesson that every single human being desperately needs to learn. We often build massive, invisible walls between ourselves based on incredibly superficial differences. We judge others by their appearance, their speed, or the metaphorical shells they carry. But the animal kingdom constantly proves that empathy is the ultimate, undeniable, universal language. If a baby hippo can find a loving father in a 130-year-old giant reptile, humanity has no excuses. We are fully capable of reaching across the massive divides that separate us. We can choose to offer a safe haven to those who are terrified and completely alone. The next time you feel completely lost or overwhelmed by the storms of life, remember this story. Look for the unexpected, quiet giants offering a safe place to rest your weary head. Be willing to accept love from the most surprising, unusual, and beautifully strange sources. The universe has a remarkable, incredible way of healing our deepest, most agonizing wounds. The oddest couples often build the strongest, most unbreakable, and profoundly beautiful bonds. The memory of Owen resting his small chin on Mzee's ancient shell is a pure masterpiece. It is a glorious, undeniable testament to the incredible, magical healing power of the natural world. Our beautiful planet is absolutely overflowing with quiet, breathtaking miracles waiting to be discovered. May we always keep our hearts wide open to the beautiful surprises of tomorrow. We must never forget the profound lessons taught by the unlikely family in Kenya. Let their legacy inspire us to create a kinder, more wonderfully connected world for everyone.